Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov on Saturday held talks with his North Korean counterpart Choe Son Hui in the port city of Wonsan. According to Associated Press, Choe praised the relations between the two countries, noting that they have risen to the level of an unbreakable alliance. Lavrov thanked the North Korean leadership for providing military assistance at the border with Ukraine. "We are sincerely grateful to the leadership of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and of course to all servicemen, soldiers and officers, who demonstrated excellent combat training and made a very important contribution to the just cause of liberating Russian territories," he said. The Russian minister began his three-day trip to North Korea on Friday. Russia's Tass news agency reported Wednesday that the trip was part of the second round of strategic dialogue with Choe Son Hui. Lavrov and Choe's earlier meeting took place in November in Moscow. Some South Korean analysts said Lavrov may discuss arranging a visit by North Korean leader Kim Jong Un to Russia. Since February 2024, North Korea has been accepting Russian tourists amid expanding military cooperation between the countries.
Здравствуйте.
Thank you. Very nice to see you. The weather is perfect and the place is fantastic. Yes. В ходе первого раунда нашего стратегического диалога, когда вы приехали в ноябре прошлого года в Москву, вы охарактеризовали наш новый базовый стратегический договор как прочную основу непобедимого боевого братства.
Участие в боевых подразделениях вооруженных сил КНДР в операции...
Оценка получила зримое подтверждение в прямом практическом смысле ваших слов в Курской области, о чем вы упомянули, где героические военнослужащие, бойцы Корейской народной армии вместе с российскими бойцами ценой крови и даже жизни приблизили освобождение Курской области от украинских нацистов и мирных.
По освобождению Курского региона ярко свидетельствовало самый высокий...
Мы искренне признательны руководству Корейской Демократической Республики и, конечно, всем военнослужащим, солдатам, офицерам, которые продемонстрировали великолепную боевую подготовку и внесли очень важный вклад в справедливое дело освобождения русских территорий.
Высокий уровень нашего союзничества, а также стало важным историческим.
In the fourth year, the so-called SVO reached Kamchatka, the most remote region of the Russian Federation, located 7,000 kilometers from the front. There, they began to jam the internet, fearing an attack by Ukrainian drones. This was reported by Russian media. In Russia's Kamchatka Krai, mobile internet has begun to be restricted, citing the threat of sabotage. According to Vladimir Solodov, the region's governor, this decision was made as part of measures to protect strategically important facilities, including the Russian Pacific Fleet base in Vilyushinsk. Our task is to prevent and make impossible the carrying out of sabotage on the territory of Kamchatka Krai. In connection with this, restrictions have been introduced, including on navigation in Avacha Bay, the use of the internet, and geolocation, the governor of the Russian Federation said. According to the governor, such measures are necessary to ensure the safety of residents. The regional government also emphasized that the internet outages are temporary and are aimed at preventing possible threats. It is noteworthy that Kamchatka is located more than 8,000 kilometers from Ukraine, and the probability of a real strike from the Ukrainian armed forces in this territory is extremely low. Despite this, the same security protocols have begun to be applied in the region as in the central part of Russia, where Ukrainian drones actually fly. Similar restrictions have already been introduced earlier in Primorsky Krai, They also began to turn off mobile internet, stating that such measures were allegedly being introduced all over Russia. The Far East authorities began to react more actively after a series of explosions in Desantnaya Bay near Vladivostok in May, as well as publications in Western media about a possible Ukrainian operation against Russian Pacific Fleet facilities. According to experts, these measures do not so much protect as destabilize everyday life and prevent citizens from using basic digital services. It is obvious that there is no real threat of Ukrainian sabotage in Kamchatka, but the use of military alarm for information purposes allows the expansion of repressive instruments, even in the most remote corners of the Russian Federation. It is the failure in agriculture and the growth of discontent in the rear that could become a turning point for Russia in the war against Ukraine. Russian economist and doctor of economics Igor Lipsitz told Glavred about this in an interview. According to Lipsitz, there are several signals that will indicate that the Russian economy can no longer withstand the strain, and the Kremlin will have to sit down at the negotiating table. He explained that the war with Ukraine is exhausting, and such conflicts usually end when neither side is able to achieve a military advantage. The front line stabilizes and the fighting loses momentum. A similar situation was observed in particular during the Korean War. In addition, serious problems may arise within Russia itself, which will also contribute to the search for ways to end the war. Let's go back, say, to the times of the First World War. It cannot be said that in 1917 the Russian army was in a bad position on the fronts of the First World War. No, there were quite normal supply options. There were weapons. The army was fed normally, and there was no total collapse or destruction of the system. But in the rear, fluctuations began. As you remember, there were interruptions in food supplies in St. Petersburg, and this is where the February Revolution began, and then everything went awry. About the same thing can happen in modern Russia, and by the way, this can already be accurately predicted, The Economist points out. The Economist noted that he had warned several months ago that autumn could be difficult for Russia due to the situation in the agricultural sector. The first reports on the harvest already indicate problems. The volumes are significantly lower than last year. In some places, the harvest is only a third of last year's. According to Lipsitz, this could lead to Russia losing its status as not only the largest, but even a significant wheat exporter. The country could face food shortages, which would cause discontent among the population. In such a situation, ending the war could become a tool for the Kremlin to reduce social tension. And then ending the war could become the trump card that Putin can present to the population. Therefore, I would very carefully monitor what will happen in agriculture and with the harvest in Russia this fall. There could be a really unpleasant situation there, and it is quite real, he summed up.